Hey friends, so I just sold my 500th copy of my book, Entrepreneurial Spirits, so I thought this would be a good time to do a recap of how I wrote and self-published this book in only 28 days. Now, if you're like me, and someone who's not necessarily an author, but has always wanted to write a book, you have this urge, this calling to write a book. Books are magical. I think everyone should write a book. But you think it's this monumental task, it's going to take years and years and up into your life. Well, I have news for you. It doesn't have to be, especially with all of the tools and everything that we have in this modern age. So I'm going to share with you some of my hacks and tricks and tips and ways that I self-published my first book in 28 days. And it was a lot of fun, actually. So my book is called Entrepreneurial Spirits: How to Harness Your Spiritual Powers to Become a Better Entrepreneur. Now, the point of this book was I read a ton of books. I have a marketing business, I'm an entrepreneur, I have several other businesses. So I'm always reading business books. But then I had this near-death experience, spiritual awakening. So then I dove into the spiritual world, and I was trying to figure out what's going on out there. And so I was reading a lot of spirituality books. So I was always reading business books and spirituality books, but I couldn't find one that kind of merged the two. So that was my idea. I was like, okay, I'm not saying I'm the first, I'm sure there's one out there, but I haven't found a good one. So I was like, I want to write a book that blends all the things I've learned about spirituality and how to manifest and how to use intention and meditation and all the amazing things that I've learned through the Monroe Institute and everything of how nature and reality and consciousness works. How can I apply that to becoming a better entrepreneur? And then I started looking at my life and I realized, man, I was actually doing a lot of these things along the way. I just didn't really realize it. So then I had the idea, okay, what if I made the framework of the book like an autobiography? Now, it feels weird to me to write an autobiography because I'm only halfway through with my life and, I'm not like some big celebrity or anything else. But I was like, I needed a framework. I needed to tell a story. So I used my life as the background to tell this story of how to merge the worlds of spirituality and business. And also it's what I know because this is authentic. I lived this life and I came to this point in my life merging these two worlds naturally. So it makes sense to tell the story this way. But then I was like, okay, well, I don't know anything about tropes and telling stories and all that kind of stuff. So how am I going to do this? So I started researching and I found something called by Joseph Campbell. It's called The Hero's Journey. And it's basically just a story arc. It's a way of organizing and telling stories. And come to find out that most major movies and books already follow this story arc. I mean, they're basically just taking the same template and just putting in different scenes and characters and names and stuff, right? It's crazy. Once you realize that, you start looking at movies and reading books totally different. You're like, oh, they're following the same, kind of progression. So what I did is I applied Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey to my life. And then I split my life up into chapters. So then I had a framework, okay? I'm like, okay, I have my 12 chapters or whatever, and I know roughly what each chapter is about. So then, if you know me, you follow my channel at all, I'm a little, woo-woo and out of the box. I kind of have my own way of doing things. So I was like, okay, here's how I'm going to do it. I still am heavy into meditation. I use Hemi-Sync from the Monroe Institute to get into a deep theta brainwave state really quick and easy. So I was like, okay, because the information wasn't just flowing to me. A lot of this is an autobiography, so I'm going back in time to childhood and stuff. And throughout this process, it was actually pretty cathartic. I did a bunch of shadow work and released a lot of pent-up childhood trauma and stuff through this process. It was pretty cleansing in a way. Not that was the intention, but it just kind of happened. And you'll find when you go to write a book, especially if you're writing a book about yourself, it's a wild journey. It really is, because you're doing some deep thinking about things that you probably put behind closed doors in your brain. So anyways, so what I would do is my general way that I wrote the book is I would write one chapter one night, and the next night I would edit, and the next night I would edit, and I would finish that chapter. So each chapter was in 3-day chunks, right? So write, edit, write, edit, edit. Now, the way that I wrote was through something called phantom writing or automatic writing, where it's this way, a lot of people use it for making music and art and that kind of stuff for thousands of years, where you basically just get into a meditative state. You can do peyote and that kind of stuff too, like they used to do back in the day, or you can just get in a meditative state. I would recommend that because it's more controllable. So I'd get into a deep meditative state. I would do my Hemi-Sync. If you don't know what Hemi-Sync is, it's binaural beats. It's like this brainwave entrainment through sound that just gets you into this meditative state really, really quick and easy. So you can drop into a deep meditative state. I'd meditate for 30 minutes, sort of think about what I'm going to write, but not really, just kind of let it come to me. And then I would literally just touch my fingers to the keyboard and it would just flow through me. It's called phantom writing. Now I did this every night because I worked during the day and family and stuff. So I would start this process around 10. I would write for hours, just writing, and then I would basically get really tired 3, 4, 5 in the morning. Sometimes the sun's coming up, shut the laptop, go to bed. Next day, do all my stuff, and the next night I would edit. The cool thing, this is really cool. So I wrote that chapter the night before. I wrote it, me, about my life. Most of the time when I go to edit the chapter from before, so I have to read through it, it's like reading someone else's work. It's like reading a book for the first time. Like I'm literally like, oh, I don't even remember writing that. I don't even remember that happening. Then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, and like all the emotions and memories start flooding back. So like a lot of times there was tears involved. I'm sitting there like a freaking weirdo on my couch by myself in the middle of the night, like crying, reading my own freaking work. But because it came from this deep subconscious place that had been, suppressed for so long, a lot of the stuff, or just forgotten, or just, how memories kind of fade. So I'm bringing all this stuff back. So it was really neat when you go in this like automatic writing, how this stuff, it's real data from inside you, but it's not surface level data. It's deep in there, and it flows out. And when you're doing automatic writing, you're also not sitting there thinking about every single word that you're going to write and like kind of, oh, that doesn't sound good. You're just letting it flow. And then the next night I used something called Grammarly, and I paid extra for the AI part of Grammarly so that it could, because I'm not the best writer when it comes to like literary, language arts type stuff and all that. So it would tell me if I, kind of bungled the structure of the sentence, that kind of stuff. And it helps. So having the AI from Grammarly helps a lot, not just with checking your spelling, but also making sure that your stuff is coherent. You're not running on forever and that kind of stuff. So anyways, that helped a lot, cut a lot of time out, because before you'd have to send your work off to an editor. It would cost hundreds or thousands of dollars and take weeks and weeks and weeks. And then they go back and forth, yada, yada. So I would write one chapter, next night edit it, and then I'd basically be done. And then I go to the next chapter, and I just repeated this. And that took me about 3 weeks to do the whole writing, okay? And then I used, an AI tool. I used Midjourney at the time. Now I use Dream to create this. And the crazy thing is, this is AI. And I just gave it some like little, I really do think AI is psychic. That's a whole nother thing. But I mean, it looks like me. That's crazy. And that wasn't even the intention. I think I said something like long hair surfer dude on a beach with dark clouds rolling in, something like that. And then I got this and I was like, let me go sideways. All right, it's freaking nuts. Anyways, so I used AI to make the cover, and then I went to Amazon and did the self-publishing through Amazon Kindle. And I won't get into all the details because it's a whole nother video. I'm trying to keep this one under 10 minutes, but it was really easy. And there's all sorts of videos that you can find on YouTube and stuff about how to self-publish. So I self-published, I uploaded the cover art and everything, and then bada bing, bada boom. It takes them a little while to process it, but it was actually really quick. Within a couple days, my book was available. And then it's print on demand. So when people go and buy your book, then they just print it and they ship it. And then once a month you get a check, for your royalties, which like, I think mine's like $5 or $6 or $7 for depending on hardback and paperback. But anyways, you make like $6 or $7 per book, let's say on average, but you don't have to like have any upfront cost. There's no inventory, there's no shipping or anything. It's print on demand, so it's pretty wild. And so it was a really neat, smooth process. I'm doing the Audible book now. But anyways, I just wanted to share that bit with you because I know a lot of people ask me, how I wrote my book, and they're like, what inspired you and how'd you get it done? Did you hire someone? How much did it cost? How long did it take? And when I tell them it took 28 days, they're like, what? And when I tell them I self-published it, they're like, what? And when I tell them within 6 weeks of writing the first word, I was literally selling it and like, handing it out and everything to people, they're like, what? So it really blew people's minds when they realized that this wasn't this crazy monumental task that takes a whole team of people and tens of thousands of dollars and takes years to do. That's the old way of doing it. There is a new way of doing it. So mixing in, like everything I do, a little bit of spirituality, bring in some of the astral world into the physical world, mix and match all those things, use every tool in your toolbox. You can get this done. I wrote this book, Entrepreneurial Spirits. You can go on Amazon, just type in Entrepreneurial Spirits. If you don't want to try to spell that word, I know it's a little tricky, just type in Jordan Crowder. That's me. And it'll usually pop up. And give the book a read. I think you'll like it. And also let me know what you think about my method of automatic writing, mixed with the hero's journey, mixed with self-publishing, mixed with a little bit of Hemi-Sync and meditation in there. And let me know, what do you guys think about all this? And have a beautiful day. Peace.